All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're cracking open a case file that, honestly, it sounds like something straight out of a supernatural thriller. It's a story that's going to make you question some long-held beliefs about ancient evil, and it all kicks off with one really simple but kind of unsettling question. So here it is. What if the devil needed a favor? Seriously, think about that for a second. What would you do if the figure you've always thought of as the ultimate evil shows up not as a tempter, not to make a deal, but as a client who's desperate for your help?
And that question leads us to this. Well, this unlikely alliance. This whole situation gets started because of a conflict with this really nasty ancient being known as the Lord of Shadows. And this entity has been relentlessly targeting a paranormal research group called The Company.
Okay, so let's get our cast of characters straight because you're going to need to know who's who. First up, we've got Dakota, who kind of ends up as the mediator in all this chaos. Then there's Ash, a key member of the company, and she's the one who's become the direct target. The adversary, the main bad guy, is that sinister Lord of Shadows. And the client, the one asking for help, a being who says he's Lucifer himself. So how does this all kick off? It's pretty wild. This Lucifer figure just appears in Dakota's black scrying mirror. But get this, he's not there to bargain for a soul or anything like that. He's there because an associate of his, a spiritual entity named Lilith, has been attacked by the Lord of Shadows and now she's missing.
Now, you can imagine Dakota is, let's just say, more than a little skeptical. I mean, who wouldn't be? But to prove he's for real, Lucifer makes this very direct promise. He even builds some trust by bringing up a super specific event from Dakota's past, an encounter where Dakota seriously injured another entity named Vapula. It was basically a way of saying, look, I know who you are and I need your specific help.
With that fragile trust sort of established, Dakota agrees. He's in. And that's when things get really interesting. This is where our story shifts into a full-on astral rescue mission, a journey into a place that's dark, forbidden, and completely off the map. So Dakota is traveling in his astral body, right? And he's being guided by this light from Lucifer, leading him through these winding tunnels and down stone stairways. But then they hit a wall, or more accurately, a series of powerful protective warts. And Lucifer himself can't get through. He's just blocked. He tells Dakota he can't go any further, but he's sure Lilith is right on the other side, probably hiding out and trying to heal. So now Dakota has to go it alone. He passes through the wards, steps into this hidden space, and this, right here, is the moment of truth. This is where we're about to find out what's really going on.
And what he finds, it's not good. There's Lilith on a cold stone table. She's not just hiding. She's been beaten, and she is absolutely terrified. At first, she's scared of him, but then she recognizes him. And how? Well, it turns out she has a deep spiritual link to Ash, and through that connection, she's actually sensed the positive influence Dakota has had in Ash's life.
And then Lilith drops the bombshell. She reveals the truth. The attacker wasn't some random entity. The Lord of Shadows is Cain. Yes, the biblical Cain. And here's the twist. The attack was never really about Lilith. It was a vicious, calculated move to hurt Ash by targeting the one being she considers a mother figure. It was all designed just to cause her pain. Okay, so hold on, because this is where the whole story just flips the script. According to the source material Dakota's been researching, our whole modern idea of the devil is basically one giant misunderstanding. The Lucifer in this story acts like a protector. The research suggests the real figure that inspired the Satan myth is a totally different being, an archangel of death named Samael, also known as the venom of God. And this connection is everything. See, Samael wasn't some fallen angel tempter. He was more like an angelic hitman, carrying out divine orders. And here's the kicker. The source material indicates that this being, Samael, was the biological father of Cain. So that's where the Lord of Shadows gets his incredible power from. It's a direct celestial bloodline to this formidable archangel of death.
So the main crisis is over. Lilith is safe, she eventually gets back to Ash, and that helps sever the Lord of Shadows' connection to her. Phew, right? But the story isn't done, not by a long shot.
In the aftermath, all this weird, unexplainable stuff starts happening that reveals a new kind of connection.
First up, a shared nightmare. Ash has this vivid dream where she sees the Lord of Shadows, but then a figure that looks just like Dakota shows up and attacks it, defending her. Well, it gets creepier. The very same night, Dakota has the exact same dream, but from his own point of view. He sees the entity going after Ash, and just on instinct, he attacks it to protect her. Same event, same night, two different people.
And if you thought that was weird, it gets even stranger. They decide to run an experiment using electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP. And what they capture, well, by our current understanding of physics, it's just completely impossible.
Now you have to understand the setup here, because it's what makes this so nuts. Ash and Dakota are thousands of miles apart. They're both using a spirit box app called Necrophonic. Now the way these apps work is by scanning random audio bits, hoping a spirit can piece the sounds together into words. The key thing here, the most important part, is that this app has no voice chat, no messaging, no way for two users to communicate. It's not supposed to be able to do that.
And yet, that's exactly what happened. In the middle of their separate sessions, their actual voices came through on each other's devices simultaneously. They confirmed it over text in real time. This isn't a software bug. It's a physical impossibility, a bizarre supernatural aftershock that seems to confirm this deep, protective connection that was forged between them.
So what's the takeaway from all this? I mean, it's a crazy story, for sure. But when you zoom out and look at the big picture, this one incident does way more than that. According to the source, it fundamentally reframes our entire understanding of the nature of evil.
This one single event, this one favor for the devil, it challenges a narrative that has stood for centuries. It forces us to ask, what if the story we've been told about the ultimate source of evil is just wrong?
The source material is basically saying that the figure we should truly fear isn't the symbolic fallen angel Lucifer. Instead, it's the tangible, vengeful Lord of Shadows, humanity's first murderer, Cain, who is empowered by a death angel.
And that all leads to one provocative, final question. If the figure we've called the devil for millennia isn't the great adversary, then what is? And maybe more importantly, what else about our oldest stories have we gotten completely wrong?